Pippa, look, you're on TV. You're a star. Do you want to do some yoga? Can you do some down dog or up dog? You're just waiting for the mailman. You want to say hi? Why don't you show him some yoga? Or do you want to come here? Okay. Hi, everybody. If you're listening to me, I am waiting for my microphone to get charged, and I'll be back in about 5 minutes, 4:30 Mountain Standard Time. We will do some yoga for the shoulders, so make sure you have some nice music going on, grab some water, and today you'll need a strap and a block and a blanket, probably. So I'll be back in about 5 minutes with more sound, hopefully. In the meantime, you're welcome to watch Pippa. Oh, there she goes, doing a little downward dog and a little lying down pose. Okay, Pippa, you can be the teacher for a few minutes. sorry, the mailman has just arrived. Oh, we got some mail. Okay, shh. Oh, you're so vicious. Okay. Is that enough? You gonna be okay? What a crazy welcome. Well, welcome everybody. It is about that time. My name is Elise, fabricant. This is Pippa, fabricant. We're here in Denver, Colorado, along with the mail person who just delivered our mail. It's all over now, you're fine. Pippa provides us with a great example of the nervous system. She can go from rest and digest, taking a nap, to fight and flight, just like that, as soon as she hears somebody coming to the door. So we as yogis are learning to switch to the other way, to go from our fight or flight, which we often tend to be stuck in, to the rest and digest. And you might think of that parasympathetic nervous system as the way you feel after a beautiful yoga class with a deep Shavasana. So now Pippa has gone back to her bed. She can switch so quickly. So thanks for bearing with me, everybody. Again, my name's Elise. I've been so honored to be here teaching these free classes for yoga downloads since April, almost every Friday here in Denver. It has been hot and kind of yucky and smoky recently here, and today, just right now, it started raining. So I'm happy to practice inside with you here in my living room. I'd love to hear where you are watching from. So there might be a little chat button, especially if you're tuning in through the YouTube channel. Just let me know where you're watching from. And while I wait for you to do that, I'll explain what we'll be doing today in our class. So today will be around shoulder health. I've been having some right shoulder pain. I've been a massage therapist for over a decade, and it's gotten a lot of use. What I've learned from my shoulder pain journey is that oftentimes the shoulder girdle and the rotator cuff gets strained as we start to round the chest and shorten the front of the body, shorten especially the pectoral area of the chest. This happens as we're slouching and doing computer work and texting and driving. Now imagine if the front of the chest is shortening, what's happening to the back between the shoulder blades? That's lengthening and becoming weak, long and weak. And these muscles here are short and tight and usually strong. So in today's class, what we're really going to open up is the front of the chest. As the front of the chest opens, the back, right between the shoulder blades, will start to strengthen and become more stable. So we'll be working with that relationship quite a lot today. Nobody tells me where you're watching from. That's okay. Feel free to get in touch with me after class. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I think I'm the only Elise fabricant out there. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm always willing to take suggestions and requests for future classes too. So everybody grab a little water, put on some gentle music. Oh, hey, Evanston, yay, first time went live with Elise. Thanks for being here, Elizabeth. One of my best friends is from Evanston. All right, so water, blanket, potentially, no big deal if you don't have one. You can always use a towel or something, a strap, and a block. And put on some gentle music and I'll scoot back. I'll meet you on the mat in 2 minutes. Thanks, you guys. Okay, once again, we will most likely need a strap and a block and a blanket. And if you don't have one of those or all of them, no big deal. You can still practice. I'm going to sit knees together, feet wide, because that's easiest on my hips. You could also sit cross-legged for this first part. We'll just take a moment to breathe and ground. So draw your hands back towards your hip creases to allow some slack in the shoulders. Drawing the shoulders up, back, and down. Already you can feel a broadening through the chest. Then relax those shoulders down away from the ears, and at the same time lift the chest towards the sky. Slightly drop the chin to lengthen the back of the neck. Close down your eyes. Start to lengthen your breath. With your inhalations, perhaps you can feel your belly pressing against the waistband of your pants. And with your exhalations, allow the belly to move back towards the spine. If you'd like, you could visualize with each inhalation, bringing in health, longevity, vitality, prana. And visualize with each exhalation, letting go of anything that's not serving you, stress, worry, frustration, whatever it is, just let it go. You can do without it for the next 45 minutes. If it's really important, you can pick it up after our class. Take about 3 more cleansing breaths like this. And then with the next inhalation, reach your arms up and wide. Make a big circle. Maybe the hands can come behind you just a little bit. And then as you draw the hands up to the earth, plug the shoulders down away from your ears. From there, eagle arms, right arm crosses underneath the left. You're going to cross at the elbows. And then maybe at the wrist, just depending on your proportions. If you can't get the wrist, no big deal. Just hold the hands as close as you can together. And then, pressing all of your arms together, draw your forearms away from your nose a little bit. Shoulders down away from the ears, squeeze. And then let the elbows ride up and down a couple inches, up and down. Good. So here you might be feeling like a massage through the upper trapezius, the top of the shoulders. And now we're going to open up that space between the shoulder blades. I know I told you we're going to strengthen it, but let's give it a little stretch first. So we'll do that by diving the elbows down towards the navel, tuck chin to chest, and spread the space between your wing bones, your scapula, shoulder blades. Big breath there. Exhale it all out. Inhale, let the chest rise and unwind your arms. Let them fly high in a big circle. Reach through your fingertips, soften shoulders away from the ears. Second side, this time the left underneath the right. Same thing, wrap your arms as best you can, pull the forearms away from you. Then up and down with the elbows a few times, just for that upper trapezius massage. And then here we go, shoulders down, chin down, elbows towards the navel, round through the back body. Big breath to that space between the shoulder blades. Good, rise, come up, unwind the arms. This time the arms will come behind your back, interlace the hands, clasp your one fist together all the way to the wrists. And roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Now we're strengthening the space between the shoulder blades and opening the front body, just like I talked about in the beginning of our class. Good, this is usually what most of us need most. It's sort of the antidote to all that rounding forward that we do. Let's stretch the neck while we're here. We did this last week. So we'll take the one fist over to one side of the waist, and then drop opposite ear to shoulder. Yeah, so the ear moves to the other side as the wrist. Woo! Since COVID, I haven't been teaching very frequently, just once a week here with you guys. So I'm a little rusty. You may want to drop the chin around, move it around a little bit, and then let the head come back up. Take the fist over to the other side, shoulders down. Keep the chest broad and bright, and then drop that ear. I like to move the head around a little bit, just finding different placements for the chin to influence different lines of stretch in the neck. Okay, we're almost done here. Good. Head comes up, release the hands, bring your fingertips to the shoulders, and then making big circles with your elbows. See if your elbows can come together or close, right in front of your chin, and then all the way back. Up, back, down, and around. Up, back, down, and around. Now that ball and socket joint of the shoulder is quite mobile, and that makes it also quite fragile. So it's important to lubricate that area with the movement. As you move, the synovial fluid rushes through that ball and socket joint, lubricates it. Yeah. Good job. Okay. Whew. Let's come off the blocker blanket, whatever you're sitting on, and just for a moment come into child's pose. This will be a brief child's pose just to get those shoulders stretched out a little bit. Walk your arms forward, drop your forehead down, drag your hips back towards your heels, deepening the crease of the frontal hip flexors. And then roll your shoulders away from your ears. It's almost as if your armpits are trying to look at your chin. Walk the arms forward a little bit more. Push the fingertips into the floor and notice how this drags the hips back. From here, downward facing dog, spread the fingers, lift the hips, tuck your toes underneath and roll over your feet. Perhaps this is your first down dog for a while, so you're welcome to walk it out, bend one knee and then the other. Roll the shoulders broad, feel the strengthening of the space between the shoulder blades. As you push the floor away from you, drag the hips up and back and descend the heels. One more breath. Awesome. Look forward with the exhalation. Walk your feet to your hands. With the inhalation, fingertips to upper shins. Burst your heart forward in half forward fold. So rolling the shoulders back, squeeze the space between the shoulder blades. Exhale, hollow out the belly and fold forward, nice deep Uttanasana. To rise, bend your knees quite generously, tuck the tail and roll up slowly, leading with the back of the heart, that space between the shoulder blades. Finally, hips will stack over ankles, shoulders will stack over hips, ears will stack over shoulders. Inhale the arms up, shoulders down away from the ears. Exhale, big circle wide, hinge at the hips and fold forward. Feel free to bend your knees. We're not too concerned with the leg stretch today. Inhale, fingertips to upper shins. Once again, roll the shoulders back and engage the space between the scapula. Exhale, hands come down. Let's step the right foot back into a low lunge. So for now, the right knee will come down. Let's bring the hands to the front knee. Back the hips up a little bit. Tuck the tailbone under until you feel that nice stretch through the right frontal hip flexor. Good. Then bring the arms up and around. Big circle. Interlace the hands behind your back. Now, if you're like me and that right knee is uncomfortable, you can also tuck the toes under it and come up into a straight leg. We want to make sure that the legs are working, but really the emphasis here is on broadening the chest. So squeeze the shoulder blades together, roll the shoulders back, and then lift the chest up towards the sky as your one fist moves down the thigh. Okay, release. Hands hands come down. Step right foot forward to meet the left. Pause, forward fold. Step left foot back into low lunge. So just begin with the knee down. You're welcome to put some padding there. And then the hands come to the front knee. With the hands on the front knee, then we can back up the hips a little bit. Tuck the tailbone under. It doesn't actually tuck, but there's a posterior tilt of the pelvis to find more of a stretch through the left frontal hip flexor. Then let's do this big wide sweep. Then interlace the hands, maybe the funky way, opposite thumb on top. Roll the shoulders back and then lift the heart as if I've got my hand underneath your shoulder blades and I'm pressing you up. Then feel free to draw the hips further forward. Feel free to tuck the toes and straighten the back leg. We're here for 2 more breaths. Release. Hands come down. Step left foot forward to meet the right. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Rolling up slowly, let the inhalation bring you to standing. And let's pause with palms at the heart. Again, inhale, sweep the arms up, shoulders down away from the ears. You could take a baby back bend right here. Exhale, broaden the collarbones, open the heart as you fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And with the exhalation, fold forward as you step. Let's do left leg back first. So same thing as before. To begin, bring the knee down, back up the hips, tuck the pelvis under. And then let's bring the arms up, and we'll practice eagle arms once again, right arm under the left. Now you could stay here with the back knee on the ground, or you could pop that leg up. Wherever you are, we're going to open up the back of the body again by diving the elbows down just for a moment. And then lifting the elbows up, to come into a beautiful back bend. Oof, unwind, release as slowly and gracefully as possible. Step the left foot forward, forward fold, pause. Step the right leg back. Knee comes down for now. Back up the hips. Find that tuck of the tailbone, the stretch of the frontal hip flexor, then arms up, left under right. Wrap around like soft rope. I'm going to tuck the toes under because that right knee is not comfortable for me. And then as the elbows dive into the belly button, you're rounding the back body. Find the stability for the legs as you lift through the arms, creating a back bend. Woo! Elbows up, shoulder blades squeeze. Release the hands. Slow and smooth, step right foot forward. And forward fold. Bend the knees. Take your time, inhaling all the way back to standing. Samastitihi, palms to the heart. I'm going to take a quick drink of water. It's challenging to talk to y'all and move at the same time. I also hear the ice cream truck out there. Okay, so let's do one more flow. So standing, thanks for your patience, and I see my head is cut off, but that's what live video is all about. We're just rolling with it. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward once again. Let's do one more variation of lunge. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, right leg back. This time, stay high. Good. Come up, hands on hips, so the knee is lifted, but I still want to find that posterior tilt of the pelvis. It can help to bend the back knee. Find the tilt, and then try to re-straighten the leg. From here, bring the arms up overhead. Imagine you have a pull-up bar. So some of you may have done this with me before. We're gonna hang onto our pull-up bar, grab it with the hands, and then bend the elbows like you're pulling yourself up and over this pull-up bar. Notice how toned your back becomes, yeah. From here, let's bring the arms a little wider, which means I'm going to start to stretch the arms out, hands out, palms up, elbows forward, chest up. Remember this action. And then release. Right leg forward. Left leg back for the very last lunge, I promise. So again, we're toning that space between the shoulder blades, which is the middle traps and rhomboids. Tuck pelvis under, reach the arms overhead. Find your pull-up bar. Now really pull yourself and notice the strength you're creating in your back, 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 back. Yeah. And then from here, watch if that didn't make sense before. I'm just going to open up, straighten the elbows a little bit, palms up, lean back like I'm holding the world in my arms. And then release. Hands come down, step forward. Forward fold, let it go, head heavy. And let's take a little break in child's pose. So go ahead and just come back onto your shins. Maybe you want to make this a more gentle child's pose, so you could bend the elbows and let the shoulders soften. Okay, from child's pose, we'll try Anahata Asana, which is heart chakra opening pose. It's a big shoulder stretch. So I like to have something padded underneath my knees. Grab your blanket or roll up your mat. And then standing up on the knees, make sure your hips stay right above your knees. So it's a little different than child's pose in that way. The upper body looks a lot like child's pose though. We're going to come on down. Forehead can come to the ground. Maybe the chin can come to the ground, not in my body, but maybe for you. And then we walk the arms forward until the armpits are opening, the shoulder joint is opening. For me, that's really, really uncomfortable. If you can be there and still breathe nicely, feel free. I take a variation by bending the elbows and then bringing the forehead to the forearms. Please make sure that this practice is working for you. So not too much and not too little. Find your edge, find your breath. In Anahata Asana, we want to melt the space between the shoulder blades. So it is toning a little bit, but then it's also softening to the ground with gravity. Allow it to melt, surrender, and soften. Okay, sometimes we hold this pose for like 11 minutes, but today we're gonna come out of it, woo, and just flush it out with a downward facing dog. You can move your blanket out of the way and come into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now that you've done all of that shoulder work, maybe you can feel a little more opening through the armpits, a longer line through the outside edges of the arms and the side waist. Can you bring your chest a little bit closer to your knees? Yeah. And then let your head hang completely. Give it a little shake out. Let it be heavy. Okay, rock forward to plank pose, please. Good. In plank, I want you to do little baby push-ups. So that means we're going to let the space between the shoulder blades sink down, just like in Anahata Asana, and then push the floor away so the space between the shoulder blades rounds a little bit. Now you can also do this from your knees, no problem. I'm going to be right here on my knees, sinking the space between the shoulder blades, heart center melts. Push the floor away, rounding the back body. That space between the shoulder blades opens. So just play with that experiment for like 3 and 2 and 1. Lower all the way down. Make a little pillow for your head with your hands. Take a rest. Okay, we're going to keep strengthening that space between the shoulder blades, but first let's do a little bit more of a restorative pose, a stretch for the front body. So this is where you'll probably want, you will want a block or something similar. And then I like to pad my block with my blanket because that block is going to go right under the shoulder blades, that area I was just talking about. So then you can turn around, lie back over your block. Make sure you have some room around you. I might need to scoot down a little bit. And then just snuggle your shoulder blades towards each other. As you lie back, this is supported fish pose. Now it'll help to bend your elbows, backs of the hands on the ground. And from here, I want you to pretend that there's like 2 feet of snow outside or more. Hard to imagine here in the northern hemisphere where it's so hot. But I'm going to imagine that it's a big snow day in Colorado and I'm making snow angels with the arms. So the back of the hands stay on the ground as long as they can as I start to rise the arms up overhead. See if you can bring the elbows down too. And then slow arcs with the backs of the hands on the ground all the way towards your waist. And continue these snow angels, noticing the placement of the scapula on the block. Noticing, hopefully, the stretch of the pectoral area, the front of the chest. It may feel quite intense. If so, make sure you're using your breath. If it's not feeling intense, maybe you can bring the backs of the hands and the forearms closer to the earth for a little more intensity. All right, let's do one more. Arcing. And then when you're ready, bring the hands to your torso so there's not as much stretch through the front of the chest. And just take a couple breaths here, feeling your torso, your belly expand into your hands and contract. The wave of the breath. Okay, we're going to flip around onto our bellies and move the props out of the way. So very gently, especially with the neck, be very careful, roll over onto one side. You're welcome to pause in a little fetal position for a moment. And then when you're ready, you can push yourself up. Take those props out of the way. And then come back onto your belly. So we opened the front of the chest with those snow angels, and now we want to strengthen the space between the shoulder blades again with a belly down back bend. So in this variation, the toes will stay down, the legs are engaged, a little tone in the buttocks. Reach your arms forward. Imagine you have that pull-up bar again. And then pull the bar. Oh yeah, engage, engage, really engage that space between the shoulder blades. And then just like you did before, little lift, so there's a back bend. Straighten through the elbows just a little bit. Draw the elbows forward of the hands, so your hands are really reaching up. And then curl up through the chest. Ooh. And release. Pause, breathe, take a break. We're going to do, let's say, 3 more of those. So as you're ready, reach forward for the imaginary pull-up bar. Pull it down, engage, strengthen. Then peel up with the strength of those muscles around your spine. Let the arms reach a little bit higher. Open up through the elbows. Keep the shoulders down away from the ears. And then release. You ready? Let's do 2 more. Pull up arm, engage, peel up. Use the strength of the little muscles along the spine and then the bigger muscles between the shoulder blades. Start to open up the arms, lift. Let it go. You can do it. You might feel this tomorrow. Let's try one more time. Really make it count. Pull, lift, peel, lift, little back bend. Open the arms and let it go. I'm going to make a pillow for my head with my hands. And take about 3 to 5 calming breaths right here. And then use your hands underneath your shoulders to help you press up through the upper body. As if you're coming into child's pose, draw those hips back, and then tuck the toes underneath. Find downward facing dog. Take your time. This down dog, let's make the stance shorter. So either walk your feet forward about 4 inches or your hands back. And you might need to adjust it later. We're going to stretch that space between the shoulder blades now. So let's take the left hand around the outside edge of the right shin. If that's confusing, you can peek up here and look. Left hand, outside edge of right shin, so that you can get a really firm grip. Now the right hand continues to push the floor away, just like in down dog. The left hand can pull on the right shin, creating a little twist. I'm gazing underneath the right armpit. Now can you sense underneath the shoulder blades and send a deep breath right there. All right, switch it out. Left hand grounds, push. Right hand cross and pull. Now we're getting underneath that right shoulder blade. Irrigate it with your breath. Little twist. Release. And what was I going to do next? Let's just walk the feet forward towards the hands and really release through the head and neck. Good, roll up through the spine just like you've been doing. Soften, flop, inhale on the way up. Pause at the top, palms to prayer. Sense into your shoulder girdle, front, back, sides, maybe even into your armpit area. Notice. Okay, the next thing I want to do is just kind of for fun, and it can be a little bit of a party trick, and it's really good for the brain. I'm just going to sit down because I noticed that the screen cuts me off, but you can stay standing for this. Let me see what somebody has to say. Oh, that's just Yoga Downloads saying that if you want to donate to this class, you are more than welcome, and I get to keep all of the donations, so even a few dollars would be wonderful. Okay, back to what we were doing. This is great for the shoulders, and again, really good for the brain. One arm is going to come forward into a circle. At the same time, the other arm is going to go back in a circle. It's a little more complicated than you would think. I'm going to turn to the side. So my right arm's going forward. Practice that with me. Left arm's going back. Practice that with me. Now, can we put them together? Yeah. Be honest with yourself. Is that really happening? I see a lot of people who think it's happening. One way of checking is that the hands can give a little high five at the top. Ooh, I lost it. High five. High five. Yeah. Okay, let's let's try the other side. So this time, left arm comes forward. You can do this with friends and family, see how they do. Right arm comes back. And let's try to put it together. Ooh, this is so much more difficult for me. Can you give yourself a high five at the top? Is one side more difficult than the other? Ah. All right, I know my shoulders felt that. Let's take a moment to pause. My brain felt that too. So just coming back to that calm nervous system. A couple deep breaths here. Good. And then if you're standing or sitting, we'll come into a squat pose. Now that your shoulders are nice and loose, hopefully, we'll take a bind with squat. Now, if you're here and your heels are lifted, we'll be here for some time. So you may want to roll up your blanket and stick it right underneath your heels. You could also try this just sitting on a chair. It doesn't really have to be in a squat. What we're working on here is a bind. So we're going to take the right arm forward. Reach, 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 reach. Notice that my arm is coming so far forward that my armpit can actually snuggle up to my knee. Then what's key is to internally rotate the arm. So that means the thumb will point down, palm will point back. And then reach around and see if you can kind of slap your butt or maybe lower back with the back of your hand. This other arm does not worry about the knee. It's going to come behind the back and reach for the other hand, maybe. If it doesn't find the other hand, no big deal, you're working towards it. If you've got the other hand, use this bind as a little container. So push the hands away from your chest and lift the chest up in this little twist. Let's try the other side. Release. Left arm forward, reach, 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 reach. Snuggle the armpit and the knee together. Turn the thumb down, palm back, and wrap it around. Breathing, breathing. Right arm comes back. See if you can touch the hands. You could also use a strap here to make your arms longer. And then lift and open. All right, so much good shoulder work. Release from there. Let's come out of the squat. I'm just gonna let my bottom come down, shake out the legs a little bit. Grab a little water. So we've got about 10 more minutes of this practice. I know this practice has been a little different than most of mine. Maybe more therapeutic, a little more chunky. Let's practice Gomukhasana next, which is cow-faced pose. So for this pose, I would recommend grabbing a pillow or a blanket or something, having it nearby. And you will most likely want a strap, a man's tie or a dog leash or something like that works as well. To begin, just for a moment, come into all fours. And let's do a little wrist stretch first. So I'm turning my palms down with the fingers pointing back towards my knees. Can you see that? Palms down, fingers back towards knees, and then just guiding some weight back into the hips for a stretch of the carpal tunnel area of the wrists. Ooh, long, luscious breath into the wrists. Good, and then release, let the hands come back to normal. Lift up your right leg, cross it behind your left. So the right knee is crossing behind the left knee, and then widen your feet and sit yourself back down to the ground or onto your block, blanket, or pillow. Yeah, I need a little lift there. Try not to sit on your bottom foot. So this is cow-faced knees. Soften through those frontal hip flexors. Soften through your jaw. Now, working the shoulders, the chest, take your strap over your, let's see, right shoulder. Strap over right shoulder. Bring the right arm up. Turn the palm behind you. Tap yourself on the back, give yourself a nice pat, good job, and then grab onto the strap. Bring the left arm out to the side, palm facing behind you, thumb down, just like we did in that bind. And then start to shimmy your arm, your elbow as close to midline, as close to the spine as possible. Bend the elbow, reach the hand up to grab either onto the strap or maybe even to meet the right hand. On this side, I can let the hands touch each other. Not so on the other side. It's more important to keep your head straight up than it is to clasp the hands. So notice if you're sacrificing your posture of your spine just to bind the hands. If so, grab your strap instead. Now pull your elbows in opposite directions diagonally. Roll shoulders back away from the ears, but then knit your ribcage back in towards your spine. Soften hips, soften jaw. 3 more breaths. First, release your arms, take your time. Convincing your nervous system it's no big deal. I don't really need to get out of that pose, I'm okay. And then you can just set your strap off to the other side. Roll onto your hands so that you can uncross your legs. And here we go, other side. Lift up the left leg, cross it behind the right knee. So left knee behind right knee. Widen the feet. This is so you don't sit on the feet. Settle your hips back. You might notice it feels different than the other side. I'm going to use my little lift. Take a moment to send some breath into the frontal hip flexors, encouraging them to soften. Soften jaw. Bring the strap over the left shoulder this time. You may or may not need it. Left arm up, palm back. Bend the elbow, give yourself a well-deserved tap on the back. Right arm out, palm back, thumb down. And then again, see if you can get that arm as close to the spine as possible and then bend the elbow. Clasp either fingers or the strap. This time I'm taking the strap. Good. Get a nice firm grip onto whatever you've got and then pull the elbows in opposite directions, stretching the tricep muscles. Head back, lift through the spine, soften through the hips. 3 long breaths. And again, as if it's like no big deal at all, you just slowly release the strap or hands. And pause for a moment here. And then let's come forward onto the hands to unwind the legs. Just roll those legs out in front, give them a good little shake. And it's time for Shavasana, final relaxation. So move your block and strap out of the way. Now, you may want to take your blanket roll underneath your knees. That can help soothe the lower back as you roll back slowly. So you did about 40 minutes of shoulder work. So really let those shoulders and chest get very heavy to the earth, turning the palms up, close down your eyes. If you've been breathing heavy like me, this is time just to come back to your regular breath. No strain, no effort. Soften all of the muscles of your face and jaw. Feel the weight of your shoulders extending all the way down to your heavy hands and fingers. Allow your internal organs to sink down into their places. your pelvis to spread and get heavy. Allow the ground to completely hold the weight of your legs so that your muscles can ultimately soften all the way down to your toes. Please feel free to stay here as long as you possibly can. If you need to get up, you can join me by rolling to one side so slowly. Oh, take your time. Use your hands and arms to help you press up. Come to a seat. Really no rush at all. It's always such a pleasure to be here with you. Please be in touch. Please check out my 70+ classes on Yoga Download. Each download gives me a little bit of money, which is so helpful right now in these weird times. You can also donate on the Yoga Download page, or there's a link on the YouTube page in the comments. And I will be gone next week because it's a holiday weekend here in the United States, but I'll be back for the following Fridays in September. Thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed class. Namaste. See you in a couple weeks.